This is one of the hottest apps in the mobile app store. Countdown. It is said to be able to predict the time of death of the user. Curious. They all downloaded and installed it when they were at a party. Some of them say they have 60 years to live. Only this girl looked pale. It turns out she only has 3 hours to live. But everyone was just having fun. They didn't care. They started to get her boyfriend to drink for her. After the party was over, the two of them were going home. The girl was a bit scared. She thought about the test she had just done. She had only 3 hours left to live, and now the DUI, the time of death, would be exactly the same. So she decided to get out of the car and walk home. Suddenly her phone rings with a weird beep. She turned it on and saw only 7 minutes left on the countdown. She was a little uneasy. The night was dark. The more she walked, the more scared she became. Just then, the software alert came back. She was now only 2 minutes away from death. She was so scared she ran home, locking the door behind her. The phone is still ringing, like a death knell. The girl turns her phone off straight away, ready to go to the toilet for a glass of water to calm down. But then she feels something behind the shower curtain. She slowly approaches. She is about to reach out and pull the shower curtain. Suddenly, something pulls her up to the roof. By the time she fell, the countdown was at 0, and with it, her life ends. At the same time, the drunk driver's boyfriend did get into a car. Opens the creepy app on his phone, showing the nurse Amy the bliss, and explained to her that he only had 19 hours left. If his girlfriend's death was not an accident, then he was going to die too. But Amy didn't believe him, reassures the boy not to think otherwise. She also talked to her colleagues about the incident. Two curious colleagues immediately downloaded this countdown app. The results showed that they both had over 50 years to live. Everyone laughed it off. After work, Amy couldn't resist her curiosity. She also searched for the app on her phone. She didn't think twice about it. She registered her information straight away, and she found out that it showed that she only had 2 days left to live. Although she didn't believe it, but she still felt vaguely uneasy. On the other hand, before the boy who had been in the accident went into surgery, he turned on his phone again. He saw that there were only 3 minutes left. That meant he would die in the operation. The boy knew this. He decided to run away. The boy walks around the corner to the hospital. He feels something in the mirror, but when he looks back, but there's nothing there. Suddenly, he was so scared that he hid in the hallway. Then the lights in the hallway suddenly went out. Once again, the phone screamed eerily. This software predicts the time of death of the user. As soon as the countdown ends, the user of the software will die a strange death. The man opens it and sees 1 minute to go. His deceased girlfriend appears and is approaching him fast. Just as the countdown reaches 0, the man fell to his death. The next day, the news of the man's fall spread through the hospital. Amy immediately remembered the countdown app. When she got back, she started searching the internet, searching for news about the countdown software. She found many similar bizarre incidents. This made her feel uneasy. She immediately canceled all her trips for a day later and tried to delete the software, but found that she couldn't delete it at all. So she simply smashed her phone. The next day, Amy went to a mobile phone shop. She bought a new phone and a phone card. She was relieved to see that the weird software was finally gone from her new phone. She was relieved, but just as she walked to the door, the countdown to death app reappeared on the new phone. It was haunting her like an evil spirit. She returned to her car. With less than a day to go, she was desperate. Then she saw something on the reversing radar, but when she looked back there was nothing. She was confused when, suddenly a pair of strange hands covered Amy's face. Amy was startled. She backed up, but she accidentally hit the car behind her. The strange hands had disappeared. The owner of the car she hit came up to her, blaming her for what she'd done. Tom, a passerby, rushed over to relieve the situation. He took out his phone and showed it to her. It turned out that Tom had downloaded the app just like her, and they were running out of time. So they decided to work together to get through it. Then they went to a church. They found a priest and asked for help. They told the priest what had happened to them. After listening to the priest, remembered an ancient ancestral spell from legend. It allows people to foresee their own death, but if people try to get rid of it, they would attract a terrible demon. It would end in misery. But what no one could have imagined was that this curse would now become a piece of software, a demon-run software. Tom's face was full of confusion. The priest reminded them to break the curse. They could get a hacker to break the software. Then Amy remembered that the owner of the mobile phone shop was a techie. They rushed to the mobile phone shop. They offered the owner a high price to break the software. The boss hacked into the back end of the software. They found out that the back-end file was over 60 gigabytes. They saw everyone's life expectancy on it. It was like a book of life and death. Amy accidentally saw her sister's name. Her sister was even more unlucky than than she was. She was going to die a few minutes earlier. Amy was very worried, but the phone shop owner calmly began to calculate the numbers on the code. First, he added 60 years for himself, and sure enough, the number on the phone increased too. Then he helped Amy and the others. And then he added decades for Amy and the others. Tonight was crucial. Both of them were scared, so they decided to live together for one night. Until Amy went to bed at night. She thought at first that it was Tom who had his arms around her, but then Tom came through the door. Amy was in a state of shock when the phone rang again. He picked it up and looked at it. The countdown had changed. Facing this strange and scary bundle of software, code breaking doesn't work. It seems the Grim Reaper has caught on to their cheating, and Tom has less than 2 hours left. Amy's sister didn't have much time either. She rushed to fetch her sister. Then the three of them went to the church, seeking the help of the priest. Amy showed the priest the code she had filmed. After reading it, the priest came up with a solution. If someone doesn't die at the time specified in the software, then the curse would be broken. In other words, it means that one of the three of them either have sex before the countdown ends, or protect one of them for the duration of the countdown. They must choose the latter. So the priest gets salt and mixes it with paint. He had the men draw a circular spell on the ground. Legend has it that this spell will keep the Grim Reaper at bay. Soon afterwards, the whole room was plunged into darkness. They stood fearfully in the circle. Then there was a strange hissing sound from all around. It was the Grim Reaper. But luckily the priest's method worked. The Grim Reaper was kept out. But the Grim Reaper was cunning. It had taken on the form of Tom's dead brother. He couldn't believe it. One foot accidentally stepped out of the spell, and was instantly dragged away by strange hands. They rushed after him. As they watched, he was hit and killed by an oncoming car. At the same time, the countdown to the end of his phone. His sister had been stabbed in the belly at some point. Amy rushed her to the hospital to be dressed. Time was running out for both of them. That's when Amy saw the perverted doctor who had harassed her earlier. Remembering that he had also downloaded the app, the curse could be broken if the perverted doctor died early.